Hey, this is Jeff, and welcome back to Fallout 3 Pacifism and More. I'm just going to grab the BuzzOff from Dr. Banfield's office because we'll be needing it today. Some of these are harder to spot than others, partly for gameplay reasons, so it's more interesting and balanced, not just a giveaway, and partly because I'm a dick.
Hey there!
Hey Doc, you look busy, so I'll come back later. Anyway, since we got the ghoul mask last time, I can show you how to get the clue I mentioned a few episodes back that guarantees you can talk the AntAgonizer down, and going to Wilhelm's Wharf should give us an in-game reason to see the new mod feature this week. And it looks like the closest map marker is probably the Anchorage Memorial, so let's start there. You gotta be kidding me. Dogmeat, we gotta go. There's a random encounter spawn point on top of the memorial, but I assumed I already triggered it when we were here for Moira. But maybe it didn't because we used the underwater entrance, which probably means I never disarmed the mines on this bridge. And I know the pattern way better from the other side. Dogmeat, are you coming? Alright, good. Maybe we're outside its pursuit radius. Nope. Well, disarm these mines quickly. Oh, that was probably the one you can barely see because it glitches through the pavement. It's still coming. If it follows us all the way to Wilhelm's Wharf, it'll kill Grandma Sparkle. It looks like its legs are crippled. Oh, maybe that was the encounter where some hunters are fighting a deathclaw, so it spawns already injured, and if you save them, they give you a schematic for the deathclaw gauntlet. I didn't see any bodies, but I wasn't really looking. Oh, Dogmeat, don't fight it! I was blabbing and let it get a little too close and he aggroed. Here, have a stim pack and let's go. Needs another one. We really need to look into some obedience training for you. Fortunately, the dragon armor buff is that he doesn't die at 0 health, he just goes unconscious. Maybe we can kite it down to the raider camp under the key bridge. If they can't kill it, at least it might get distracted long enough to lose interest in us. And raiders are a much lower threat than a deathclaw. There's a scavenger there by the river. Sorry, man. Hope you know how to swim. Guys! Don't you think you have a bigger problem than me at the moment? Okay, some of them are shooting it, not me. Almost got it. Dogmeat, don't kill the raiders.
You want a little, huh? You want a little?
He's like, screw the deathclaw lady. I'm chewing on something I know I can kill. Well, better give you another stim pack. He got it. Well, let's go. Take the hand before we go. Excellent. The deathclaw must have walked right by the scavenger, and she took care of the raiders that were following us back. Loot them and sell her the stuff that really should just belong to her, but if she's willing to pay for it, I'm willing to take the money. Gotta go.
You watch out for Guai. They're all over.
I'm already spoiled by the upgraded caravans. She had less money than the scavenger did. Now, the entrance to Hubris Comics is down at...
Those monsters, they're gonna get me.
Here we go. Those what? What's the matter?
Those things. They keep coming. They scare me. Make it stop.
Hey, calm down. It's gonna be okay, I promise.
You won't leave me like all the other grown-ups. You can help me.
I'd like to help, but I need to know more first.
Those big things. They're all over Grayditch, and they killed everyone. I just call them fire ants. Please, find my papa and make him come back.
Look, anything else you can do might save lives.
You know, maybe this will help, and maybe it won't. But Papa hid a bunch of stuff behind the old diner and a dumpster. He trusted me with the key, and said it was for emergencies. But I bet he wouldn't mind you having it.
Is there anywhere you can hide while I search?
Well, there is the personal shelter next to the old diner. Papa always said to stay away from it. But I guess it's supposed to be safe. I'll head over there and wait inside. Hurry back.
I will. Right after I check out this sewer grate down at the other end of the boardwalk. As I said in the episode with the AntAgonizer and the Mechanist, there's a clue in Hubris Comics that guarantees you can persuade the AntAgonizer to stop attacking Canterbury, and this is by far the easiest way to get there, especially if you have the ghoul mask. You can also get there by navigating the metro system to get to Arlington, go through Arlington to the Mason District, and find the main entrance there, but this sewer tunnel takes you straight to the building. Okay, there are 2 entrances to Hubris Comics Publishing from the sewer, and I don't remember which one comes out closer to the terminal we need, but I'm pretty sure the only enemies in that part of the building are ghouls, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe even do a little looting while we're at it. There are some turrets and a hostile NPC in the print shop itself, but we won't be going there. Alright, there's the reception desk. And there's the terminal we need. That terminal is a trap, don't activate it. Skill book. Read that right now so I don't forget. And the entry on the terminal that we need is letters to the editor. It goes into some detail about the motivations and backstory of the AntAgonizer character in the Grognak comics, which is who the AntAgonizer in Canterbury styled herself after. So reading it unlocks a new dialogue option that lets you empathize with her and talk her down. Oh, and in the room with the beta testing sign, downstairs, there's something else that's pretty cool. If I can find it. We're looking for an active terminal. I think that's it. Yeah. Well, apparently there are mines down here. Did you set that off or did I? Anyway, Reign of Greylock Beta is a short but fully functional text-based adventure game. I'm sure this wasn't the first example of a game within a game, but given that this was 15 years ago and it's actually a pretty good game, it's definitely an important precursor to this kind of thing in later games. I'm not going to play it because it'd be nothing but walls of green text and me reading aloud for 20 minutes, but it's worth a go if you come here.
The spirits have blessed me with many gifts, but you have given the more marketable gift of monetary investment. Please accept this offering, a mask and helmet made from the hide of the wisest spirits of the wind. May it benefit you as fully as it has myself.
I think that's our last gift for investing in the caravans.
If the clothes make the man, then here are the means to remake yourself.
The armor rating isn't bad, but it's super heavy compared to even a power armor helmet, so I'm never going to wear it. But it's still a nice souvenir. Hey, here are Anthony and Lydia. This is where they go if you made them leave Tenpenny Tower. Not sure why they'd never just go in. You can stop freaking out, guys. Deputy Weld already killed the Scorpion. In fact, I should drag that down to Springvale so it doesn't respawn later as something worse and kill one of the caravans. Or them, of course. But after I use the infirmary and do some shopping tomorrow morning.
You came in here on your own power, so you must not be busted up too bad.
I need to buy medical supplies.
Yeah? What do you need?
BuzzOff, which he does not have.
Here to see the good doctor? Excellent.
Have any BuzzOff?
Let's see what the good doctor has in his magic bag, shall we?
No. Cindy might have some, and if not, there's one on her shelf we can steal. Who am I kidding? We're gonna steal it whether she has any in her inventory or not. And Doc Preston might also have some. We'll check him after we talk to her.
Nice to see you again. Are you looking for a quick fix?
Maybe.
We've got all kinds of chems.
But not the kind I'm looking for, sadly. Here it is. Hidden. Yoink.
You don't look hurt. What can I do for you?
I need medical supplies.
Sure thing. Here's what I have.
Jackpot. That should be enough. One more thing before we help Bryan. And no, I didn't forget about him. He said his town was attacked by giant ants, so Luce would obviously want plenty of BuzzOff before she goes there. The meta reason is actually a bit more complicated than just not having to spam stim packs while they chew on us, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
I hope things are going well for you today, madam.
Dogmeat, I'm gonna need you to stay here for this one. The closest fast travel point is probably, Wilhelm's Wharf. Now, BuzzOff is not going to make this a cakewalk the way the Ghoul Mask did with the ghouls in Hubris Comics. First, it wears off after a few minutes. More importantly, as Bryan hinted, the ants in Grayditch breathe fire, and their range is a good bit longer than the effective radius of BuzzOff, so getting close enough to repel them is probably going to mean getting burned a few times. I'm hoping we can just avoid the ones outside, but once we're in the tunnels, we won't have much choice. I don't know if speed or stealth would work better, but we're getting pretty close to Grayditch, so I'd better decide one way or the other before we get there. And there's the fence. Try stealth and fall back on speed if we get spotted. Something's on fire already. I think that's just set dressing. Bryan is actually Nope. Caution. Danger. Sneak around the perimeter and see if we can get back to hidden. What I was starting to say, Bryan is flagged as being in the ant faction so they don't attack him, which the game explains in his dialogue by saying he's gotten really good at hiding from them, but just giving him really high sneak skill wouldn't guarantee they don't spot him. Back in caution, so far so good. Maybe kill two birds with one stone if we get behind the diner, break line of sight, and check out the supply stash he gave us the key for.
Anyone out there? Hello?
It's me, Bryan. Stop yelling. Here's the dumpster. Any chance they'll give up before they find us? Oh, good. I got myself cornered by two of them. Okay, back to caution. Like he said, his house is right across the street from the diner, so we just need a tiny break. Speaking of Bryan being in the ant faction,
Funny suction hose for?
It's probably an air filter so people in the shelter didn't breathe radioactive dust. Don't mess with it. Forgot to take the ghoul mask off. All those doctors I talked to were probably like, want me to look at that for you? Anyway, Bryan being in the ant faction led to a pretty funny situation when I was doing recon for the Skills Dash series, and I made a little sidebar video about it. I'll put a link in the description.
It's kind of hard to breathe in this thing.
Don't touch anything. I'm working on it. Danger. Just gun it. Ants can't open doors, so we'll be safe in Bryan's house. We'll be trapped, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah, even if they didn't breathe fire, I wouldn't want to mess with one of those. Now, Bryan's father. Shack key, presumably to the house they built for their neighbor, Dr. Lesko. Now, let's do some looting and wait a couple hours to see if the ants outside give up. Hidden. That worked. For 2 seconds. But will be a lot harder to spot in the dark. Now, we're supposed to tell Bryan his father is dead, but that can wait. Let's check out Lesko's shack. Definitely some kind of lab. There's a password on this table. I've found the perfect specimen for my experiments inside Marigold Station. I've set up shop underground for now while I prepare the experiment. All I need is a bit of last-minute programming on my robot, and it will be ready to perform the delicate injections. Soon I will prove to everyone that my formula is a viable alternative to the destruction of these misunderstood beings. So Lesko was trying to get rid of the ants without killing them. Sounds like Luce's kind of guy. There's the metro station. Get past the last couple. Where did you come from? Oh, another one. Get inside, get inside. Well, that could have gone better, but it could have been worse. It is not gonna move. I was kind of hoping we could do this by sneaking and save the BuzzOff for emergencies, but we have 4. Yeah, take one and make a run for Lesko's lab. I know this might seem counterintuitive, but I think the best strategy is going to be to rush them and get close enough for the BuzzOff to take effect before they have a chance to spit fire. We're on the clock now, but Luce has a psychic intuition about this ticket booth. Grady's last words contain a hint that leads to a unique treasure that isn't that great, but might actually be right in Luce's wheelhouse. Plus, it would give us an in-game reason to go to Girder Shade if I decide to do the Nuka-Cola challenge. I probably won't, because the reward for that is the schematic for the Nuka Grenade, which is completely useless to lose, but at least we'll have the option. What just occurred to me, we might as well listen to the tape on the way to Lesko's lab.
If you're listening to this tape, then my brains are splattered all over a wall somewhere, and you've got a job to do. You need to retrieve the package and get it safely to Ronald Lauren in Girder Shade. Tell him Grady sent you. To get the package, you'll need the key. I've stashed it inside an old fire hose case in some maintenance closet in Marigold Metro Station. The key will unlock the safe that contains the package. Look for the room marked by a spinning light. You can't miss it. Good luck. And hopefully, they won't find you too.
Shoo! Now this is William Brandis, Bryan's mysterious neighbor, who it turns out is a defector from the Enclave and whose family was killed by the ants, so apparently he decided to go out in a blaze of glory to get revenge. Nice loot, but the main thing we want is his key. Right here's Lesko's lab. Let's talk to him. Okay, maybe we won't talk to him. Apparently he's fleeing because the ants are still alive. Let's see if we can drive them away from the area. Maybe close the door. Do a little looting until he calms down. Where did he go? Oh, good. Open the door where we were safe and run out with the ants. He may be less of a genius than his logs made him sound. And if he gets killed, it probably fails the quest. Where did he go? I don't see anything on the compass. No, there he is. If we stick close to him, he'll be protected by our stinkiness. But if he runs willy-nilly through the tunnels, he's going to get fried. Stop it. Just calm down. Well, there's Grady's rotating orange light. Remember that for later. Dude, settle down. Oh, there's an ant. Didn't want any part of that. Shoo! Oh, there he is. No! Go back to your lab! Don't leave the tunnel! There are super mutants out there! Oh, you idiot! Oh, BuzzOff will not protect you from that. Or me either.
Well, you startled me. You really mustn't creep up on people like that.
Jeez, Doc. Startled is hardly the word for it. Brown-stained panic is more like it.
My foray into reducing the girth of these insectoid creatures is of utmost importance. I intend to generationally reduce their immense stature by way of a pre-birth induced mutagen. Isn't that clever?
Intelligence check. Oh, I see. You're trying to make them smaller over time by injecting the eggs.
Well, this is rather embarrassing, so you'll have to forgive me, but it appears that I've made a slight miscalculation in my mutagen samples. Instead of lowering the size of the ants, the brood hatched and developed a new biomechanism. I call their genetic aberration pyrosis, the ability to emit flame from their bodies. I may be able to correct this error, but I can't get near my equipment. My portable terminal is set up in the hatchery chamber near the Ant Queen. If I can reach it, I can continue to work on improving the mutagen.
If the Queen's your concern, why not deal with it directly?
If she were harmed in any way, months of data would be lost. Your objective would be to eliminate what I call her quintet of nest guardians. Filthy little abominations.
This will stop the fire ants?
No, it should all wrap up rather nicely. I've rigged my equipment at my portable terminal to emit what I call an inhibitor pulse. Once I send this pulse, all of the remaining ants will lose their empathic link with the Queen and frenzy, destroying each other in the process. So, that's all there is to it. What do you say?
This is a hefty task, Doc. I'm going to need serious incentive.
I was merely going to offer up one of my mutagenic bioenhancers, but I suppose I could up the ante. I will also award you with my old lab coat. It served me well over the years, and you may find it useful for your own experiments.
What do you know about Bryan Wilks?
Far too curious. His incessant questioning would often come when I was the most absorbed with my calculations.
So it's really all Bryan's fault because he distracted you when you were designing the mutagen. Probably best if we don't tell him that. But you should have at least told him you were alive. He thought he was alone.
I can't risk leaving this place. I have to continue monitoring the hatchery for any further mutations in the next brood. Be ever vigilant. Those from the genus Solenopsis are not to be trifled with.
There he goes. No, back to fleeing. Well, hopefully if we go down to the hatchery, the game will move him back to his lab where he's supposed to be. Which brings us to the new feature. In the vanilla game, there's technically a way to complete this quest without killing anything. You can leave the Nest Guardians alive, lie to Lesko that you killed them, and he'll run down to his terminal. He obviously dies, but that doesn't bump up the player's kill count, and then you can trigger the inhibitor pulse from his terminal, which kills the remaining ants, but also doesn't bump up your kill count. But that definitely feels like it violates the spirit of a no-kill run, and you get a lot of negative karma, so the game designers clearly didn't think that's the right thing to do. And I agree, because even though his mistake probably got more people killed than if they just had to deal with normal giant ants, he was clearly trying to save them. You get good karma if you destroy his mutagen supply, which I'm not quite as sure about, because while I don't really blame Bryan for Lesko's mistakes, if he did get it to work, it would be a huge benefit to the whole wasteland. And apparently the BuzzOff wore off. Take another dose. Anyway, we're not going to destroy the mutagen because Luce is inclined to trust Lesko because he's seeking a non-violent solution, and we don't want good karma. But we aren't going to trigger the inhibitor pulse either, and we can't kill the Nest Guardians, so what are we going to do? That's where the mod comes in. We need to herd these guys to the back of the cavern using BuzzOff, and we'll see why in a minute. Like I say, this isn't an auto-win button by any means because you just saw there, even with the BuzzOff, it's tricky to get close enough for the repellent to take effect before they breathe fire on you. Let's take a quick look in the Queen Ant chamber. There's Lesko's terminal, Quantum, the skill book. This is where you can trigger the inhibitor pulse or destroy the mutagen, which is the green stuff there. And yes, canonically, it's the same green stuff the super mutants are looking for, FEV. Kind of ironic that they're so close, right outside the metro tunnel, and don't even realize it. Get along, little doggies. When they've all reached the back of the cave, they go through an opening that's too small for the player, and the last one through plugs the hole behind it to get away from your stench. Now we just need to go back to Lesko, assuming he's actually there.
I've detected some changes within the Queen's hatchery with my equipment. What's transpired?
My work is done, Doctor.
Oh, how marvelous. Please, tell me what happened. Come now, the faster you tell me, the faster I can provide promised payment for your services.
I used BuzzOff. The Nest Guardians fled and collapsed the tunnel behind them.
Then I will proceed to my portable terminal at once and make the necessary changes to the formula. Thanks very much for everything. You've been quite a useful lab assistant.
I'm ready for my mutagenic bioenhancer injection and lab coat, Doctor.
How marvelous. Here is the promised lab coat. I'm certain you'll find it quite useful. Which injection did you want? Will it be the ant site or Ant Might.
Ant Might gives you permanent +1 strength buff, and Ant Sight is +1 perception. Strength is tempting just because our carry capacity is so pathetic, and if we could get it up to 5, it would unlock the strong back perk, but that would require at least 2 more ranks of intense training, and I just don't see that happening. I already know what I want to take at level 12, and we're not leveling up very fast because we're not getting XP from killing anything, so I'm going to go with perception. Being able to see enemies on the compass from farther away is never going to hurt. I'd like the Ant Sight to increase my perception.
How marvelous! Ant Sight it is! Hold still, please.
This might seem like a bad idea considering his previous results with mutagens, but I'm sure it'll be fine. You've been granted the perception and flame resistance of the Grayditch fire ants. Your perception has increased by 1, and you are now 25% resistant to fire. Would have been nice to have this before we started, but what can you do? BuzzOff is worn off. Well, that decides it. I'm not going to try to get Grady's package. Spoiler warning, it's Naughty Nightwear, which gives you +1 charisma and +10 speech. It might be amusing to wear in some scenarios, but that's not worth getting fried. Plus, there's a random encounter that might give us a different in-game reason to go to Girdershade if we happen to trigger it, so let's just leave and talk to Bryan.
It was so weird. All of a sudden, the ants went nuts and started fighting each other. It was like they were totally crazy. It was really scary, but kind of cool at the same time. You know what I mean?
Lesko triggered the inhibitor pulse. I'm just glad you're safe.
I wish I had something to give you for all the work you did, but I never really had much to start with. I guess now you'll be on your way, and I'll have to try living here by myself. Hope you'll come back and visit someday.
Now, there are 4 ways to complete the quest. You can just tell him to stay here, but Luce is afraid he might find Lesko and cause another accident. You can sell him to the slavers at Paradise Falls, which obviously gives you negative karma. You can send him to live with Vera Weatherly in Rivet City, who his dialogue calls his cousin, but her dialogue says he's her nephew. Either way, a relative. But that gives you good karma, and we don't want that. So...
This ain't a hotel, Mungo. We don't let stupid farts in here for the hell of it.
Come on, MacCready. This kid needs to be with people his own age. Give him a chance.
This is a bad idea. Fine, send him here. But if he smells bad or makes dumb jokes, I'm sticking him right back outside. We got enough of those here already.
Well, it would have been nicer to live with Vera, but this will probably be pretty fun too. I can't believe everything you've done for me. Most people would have kept on walking when I ran up to them screaming like I did. I'll get my stuff together and move on out there right away. Come visit me sometime.
I almost forgot to check the Brandis' house. We got set on fire picking up his key, so I definitely don't want to forget the loot. Cigarettes? His footlocker's the real score. Use the key. That's actually not that exciting. Missile launcher would be great for a player who can kill things, but for Luz, not so much. The missile's worth a lot of money for 0 weight, though. Not worth getting set on fire for, but not a total loss. Lesko's lab coat gives you +10 science, which is better than anything else in the game. Still not quite enough to hack very hard terminals yet, but it probably won't be long now. More importantly, it has the best damage resistance for armor that only weighs 1 pound in the game. Nowhere close to replacing the power armor for oh crap moments, but a lot better than the utility suit for day-to-day wear. Anyway, I'm going to save and show you the mod details, which were a bit more complicated than it might have looked in-game. If you bail out when I start talking about technical stuff, don't forget to like, leave a comment before you go, and subscribe if you haven't already. So the first thing I discovered while testing was that BuzzOff had a design problem. In previous versions, it temporarily set the target's aggression and confidence both to 0. The problem with that was, if they got far enough away and lost sight of you so their in-combat flag got turned off, then having their aggression at 0 made them completely non-hostile. Like, they'd even change from red to green on the compass. And since they weren't hostile, they wouldn't flee, which in terms of gameplay, they still weren't attacking you, so fine, but lore-wise, it didn't make any sense. And that made me realize, which I also confirmed, for the same reason it didn't work on the friendly ants in Shalebridge, which also didn't make any sense. So I removed the code that sets aggression to 0. With only their confidence set to 0, they might bite you if you corner them, but that seemed more realistic anyway. And that worked for the Grayditch ants and any other hostile bugs, but it still didn't fix the friendly Shalebridge ants. So I created an AI package to flee from the player, gave the target that package in the BuzzOff effect script, and removed it when the effect wears off. So far, so good. Now, to get rid of the Nest Guardians without killing them, I wanted them to disappear through a hole in the wall, like the ones the ants in the Springvale School and other places come out of to ambush you, which would make sense and be consistent with other ant lairs the player might have seen in the game. I went into the hatchery cell and changed this corner to an intersection, extended the hallway to give the Nest Guardians a place to run, added some barriers to make the ceiling too low for the player, and set up a trigger zone out of the player's line of sight. If the actor entering the trigger zone is one of the Nest Guardians, the script sets the flag the vanilla game uses to update the quest once they're all dead, and if it's the last one, plays the shaky cam image space modifier, plays a cave-in sound effect, enables the cave-in barrier, and deletes itself. And then things got interesting. My design philosophy was, as usual, the alternate solution can't be a giveaway or a cheat. It's got to be roughly the same level of effort as doing it the vanilla way. If it's a little bit easier and there's no practical way to make it harder, I can live with it. If it's a little bit harder, great, because sometimes solving a problem without violence is harder. So I started testing, and I could not herd the ants back to their escape tunnel. They would always turn around near this dip in the floor and run to the Queen's chamber. At first, I was like, well, I didn't want this to be Dark Souls hard, but, get good. But after a lot of trying, I became convinced that it was actually impossible. Turns out that a creature's AI has certain priorities when calculating flee behavior. First, it tries to get them a certain distance from the player. Then they'll use doors or other portals to escape the cell entirely if there's one within range. And most relevant to the topic at hand, they'll try to hide using cover that's defined in the cell's nav mesh. I briefly talked about nav mesh back in the episode where a super mutant glitched into the Project Purity drain pipe, and I think I mentioned that in addition to defining where NPCs and creatures can walk, it contains other data like which edges count as cover they can hide behind during combat. Well, my escape tunnel uses a trigger zone, not a door, and the door back to Marigold Station is out of range, so the AI doesn't even consider that an option. But the closest cover edge is, you guessed it, in the Queen's chamber. I already had to add navmesh data to the new section of tunnel, so I tried marking some of the edges as cover, but that didn't work. I suspect the AI looked at them and said, nice try, but that's just the wall of a hallway. There's no actual cover there. Maybe I could have gotten it to work if I played with it some more, but I decided to cut my losses. I had this idea in the back of my mind that it would be more elegant to keep the BuzzOff effect completely generic and not add anything specific for the Grayditch ants, but in what might have been a bit of sour grapes reasoning, I said, why? If it were two separate mods, one with BuzzOff and one with an alternate solution for this quest, then yes, I would absolutely do that. But it's not. So I created another flee package, but in addition to fleeing from the player, it also adds a target inside the trigger zone that they flee to. Then in the BuzzOff effect script, I just check if the target is one of the Nest Guardians. If so, give them the flee to exit package, and if it's any other kind of bug, give them the flee from player package. And that's the final version you saw in the gameplay part of the video. Balance-wise, I tested it a lot, so I knew the best strategy, and in the video I still used like 10 stim packs doing it, so I think it falls into the easier than the vanilla solution, but still not a gimme category. Finally, I overrode the topic where you tell Lesko you killed all of the Nest Guardians with one to tell him you used BuzzOff, if that's what you actually did. If not, you get the vanilla topic. And that's it. As always, thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you have suggestions for other quests that can't be completed in a no-kill run or would just be more enjoyable if they had alternate solutions, and I'll see you next time.